David again. This week we watched a documentary called Food Choices, which came out in 2016, and I'm going over the questions for this documentary that we watched. So first up, we have what are foodways and how are they discussed in the documentary? So foodways is like an eating habit of cultures, and it's talked about a lot throughout the film, and saying when we were first starting out as humans, really, we were hunters and gatherers, and people always assume that there was a lot of hunting involved. Well, although there's hunting, most of it was really just gathering. Saying like our hands were like specifically for like picking fruits or just gathering that type of those type of vegetables and fruits for our bodies to eat. But it's been shown that hunters have had a way more bigger role than they have. So this meat type of society that we live in has basically taken over, and it is hard to get away from that, as it's been used for basically our entire existence. People are starting to convert to like vegetarian diets or like lesser meat diets, but for the most part, it's been a carnivore life that a lot of people have lived. Next is what environmental factors can be found in the documentary's narrative. So I found some facts throughout the film, mostly in one segment a little later in the film, and it talked about how 70% of the arable land that we have on Earth is used for growing crops for our animals' use, not our own. So we can basically get them up to weight to where we can then slaughter and eat them. As well as this, it takes 2,400 gallons of water and 12 pounds of grain to make 1 pound of beef. So again, a lot of resources being used for animals, as well as some facts that came later, such as how a lot of excrements that are from these beef production plants or any animal production plants, the excrements are not really being taken care of properly. So a lot of emissions are being broadcasted from those areas. So again, bad for our environment as a whole. Next, we have how does a society negotiate the use of processed foods versus healthier options? So I found a pretty good point about this in the documentary, specifically when they talked about kids. Kids are used to advertise a lot of stuff. If you turn on your TV, you could find a McDonald's commercial advertising, oh, these kids are eating a Happy Meal or something of that sort. Marketing departments are definitely pushing that narrative and how it's so good. Everybody's eating it. If you go outside and you start driving, there's a McDonald's probably not that far away from you. So kids are definitely that point where people are being negotiated to go into those places, or their kid might see it and say, "Oh, Dad, Mom, can we go over there?" So it's definitely a huge marketing tool that is being utilized very well in today's society. Question 4 is healthier eating an achievable goal? Why or why not? It is achievable, healthier eating, or healthy eating in general. Like I said earlier, it is hard though. As the society's become a carnivore-based one, it's definitely hard to change what you've been used to your entire life. Some people are, again, switching to vegetarian diets or vegan diets or even just plant-based diets or more plant-based diets, reducing their meat intake, which as a whole will help them and the world that we live on. So it is possible. It will take some time if we all want to get on this boat, but yeah, it's definitely possible. Lastly, in what ways does the documentary aesthetic lend to or distract from the conversation around food-related topics? So I got from the reading, I saw that it said trying to show food is a cultural object that reflects the values of individuals. So that's kind of the aesthetic that they're taking that's kind of distracting people from the food related topic, saying like, oh, you're eating this type of food, so that shows that you don't care about the world or other people, really. You just care about yourself. It's kind of a selfish act that they're trying to say. And this is not true. This is, again, what people have really grown up on. I mean, myself, I'm not a vegetarian by any means. I'm definitely a carnivore at heart, but, people can try to switch things up, but through this documentary, it's definitely, they show ways in which people can switch their diets and help this earth, but they also at some point kind of drift off into that state where it's like, no, you're doing this and you're being very selfish about it. Like, there was a very, in my opinion, dramatic take at the very end where they're talking about how animals are being killed and slaughtered, and it's inhuman. We're destroying these animals, and somebody in that film actually compared the slaughter of animals to slaughtering of the Holocaust. He's saying there's a Holocaust of animals that happens almost every year, and that at that point it's very distracting. It's taking the situation to a whole nother level of comparison in general. But yeah, they definitely stray away from what the actual issue is near the end. Overall, great film though. There are some little points such as that, but great film, and hope to see everybody next week for the questions.